gone into a retail store looking for an associate to ask a simple question, and you search and you search till you find one, and then you ask them that question, and they say, boy, I'd love to help you, but I'm not from that department. Let me see if I can find you somebody to answer your question. And then they get on an overhead paging system or a two-way radio and put out a cry for help while you stand there and wait and wait. And when nobody answers, they say, don't worry, come with me. I will go find you somebody to help you, as they drag you around the store. Anybody ever had that problem? Yeah, pretty much every day, every time you go into a store. So my name is Chris Todd. I'm the CEO of Theatro, and we are innovating new solutions for hourly associates, and we solve that problem right there. So I'm excited to tell you a little bit about our company. I've got two of our great customers up here, and we're going to have a panel session talking about what they're doing in their stores. In the middle here is Andrea Ferris from Walgreens, VP of Development and Head of Solution Planning and Partnerships. Somebody I've known for quite a long time, and great partnership with Theatro. And then Eric Johnson, who's Store Operations Director at Total Wine & More, another one of our partnership customers, and excited to have Eric here to talk a little bit about Theatro and what they're doing in their stores. So Theatro builds innovation, what we call the forgotten hourly frontline worker. We believe that every worker should have whatever they need in order to do their role and so forth. And that's very important because, especially in the day and age that we live in where hourly workforce is we're seeing a lot of wage increase pressure and so forth. How do you increase productivity on an hourly worker unless they have technology? And most of the hourly workers out there, frontline hourly workers, don't have mobile access. Most people don't, almost every retailer talks about the fact that, it's our plan that within 5 years, every employee is going to have a mobile device and they'll be able to access enterprise software and so forth. The reality is they've been saying this for 10 years, and it still hasn't happened. Penetration of mobile devices for frontline workers sits today at about 15%. So that means 85% do not have a mobile device. At best case, they have a two-way radio from which to access whatever information they can get over radio. And this has come about because employers have had to make hard choices. Devices are expensive. And these choices have resulted in many of the employees being left out of the mobile revolution that's transformed pretty much everybody here in this room's professional life, right? You have a device in your hand, you can access information or teammates or peers or you can access anything instantly. But if you worked in a store, that's probably not the case. You're going to end up walking around looking for somebody to answer your questions. And that's the experience that all of us have today when we're in retail stores. And then from an employee standpoint, all they really want, right? They want to be recognized for their hard work, but they're far, far away from headquarters where the information is, the plans are, what is the strategy, how are we doing, and so forth. And communications to them from the headquarters team all the way down to that first line worker is really challenging. But, we always wonder, why are the hourly workers disenfranchised? Why are they not motivated? Why are they not engaged and so forth? Well, if you're out of the loop, it's kind of hard to feel like you're connected, part of the team and so forth. And so the challenge is that we feel like, and that's part of the reason we call them forgotten hourly workers, is how do we address that and make everybody part of one team? They're all part of the enterprise. So we at Theatro have created a new mobile platform. It's a new type of mobile device that is actually leveraging voice, IoT, and AI to really help this workforce unlock their potential by giving them access to software from our company and software from a lot of other companies that we're going to talk a little bit about. And then we're all doing this in a new way, which is something we call being heads up and hands free, where the employee's got a mobile device that they don't have to look at because the user interface is actually through their ear, not through their eyes. It's a very innovative and unique solution in order to address some of the challenges of having a smartphone in my hand while engaging with customers. Oops, I need to roll back. So I'm going to, before I jump in with Andrea and Eric, I'm going to actually play a video from one of our other customers who couldn't be here today, but he wanted to make sure it passed on to some of his thoughts relative to their experience and what are they doing for these frontline workers. And it's John Threlkill from Container Store, and he's EVP of IT and business development.
The biggest challenge in our stores is really the fact that we've got a staff of people that's trying to cover 25,000 square feet and keeping up with everyone that's there and every customer in the business at any given time. The service levels that we provide in the stores are extremely high, and our customers expect that. We have challenges in keeping up with where everyone is at any given time, and now with Theatro, the employees are able to know at a moment's notice where everyone is, to connect directly with that one person that they're trying to reach, and most importantly, to take care of customers more quickly and more effectively. We used to walk across the store to find a computer if we were looking for a stock information screen, and that was the only way you could find out about whether or not we had more of a product in the store or if it was available at a certain date. Now with Theatro, we simply ask the system the information about that SKU, and the system reads it back to us. Because of that tight integration, we can work with the customer right there and take care of them completely. The power of Theatro is that it is something that is a heads-up technology that employees use while they are working on the sales floor and looking and seeing what's going on. Everything else that's out there that we have looked at requires employees to be looking down at a screen, which is not what you want when you're trying to engage with the public. I would absolutely recommend Theatro to others, and frankly, I would question executive leaders of retail companies that are not seriously considering this and wondering how they're going to move into the future without this type of solution.
Thanks, John. We appreciate the video feed, even though he couldn't be here. But without further ado, I'm going to move on to the panel discussion with Andrea and Eric and ask a few questions and talk a little bit more about what they're doing in their stores. So, welcome.
Thank you, Chris.
Yes.
Again, good afternoon, everybody. Pleasure to be here. It's the last day of NRF, and we thought the best way to end it was with some drugs and some alcohol. So everybody is probably already at that stage, right, after 3 days. But it's a pleasure to be here. Really talked about as we look at the transformations of our stores. We heard a lot of themes from the opening keynote with Satya about how critical it is to empower the associates in the stores, right? As we continue to innovate and automate tasks and having AI and analytics to provide additional information to our stores, also is equally important that we provide them with the right tools to be able to interact with customers, spend more time with customers, and ultimately provide better customer experience into our stores. We have about 9,300 stores now. We have over 230,000 employees, and one of our key focus, of course, is still convenience. And with 78% of the U.S. populations living within 5 miles of a Walgreens stores, the idea of getting in, getting it, and get out is very important. And obviously there is different way on how the customers interact with our brands, from coming into our stores to refilling a prescription by scanning the vials and drive through. So the ability to understand the customer journeys and connecting that with our team members in our stores to make sure that they have a great experience and a consistent one every time, it's ultimately critical for us. So when we were approached by Chris and team around how do we connect every team members in the stores together so they can work together and collaborate as a team, and then how do we also create a platforms that allow us to then continue to build on top of it, we realized that one single device was not the solution, and so it's a combination of devices and platform that they were bringing together. Last year here in NRF, we were working with Zebra, and we talked about the deployment of our handheld devices into the stores, which is very critical for a lot of the inventory management tasks and activities. With Theatro, we are filling the gap around the communications and the collaborations between the team members inside the stores without the need, right, to use a mobile device, and making sure that every single person, to your point earlier, right, is connected. And we have great success in these first deployments. We are already live in 1,100 stores, and as we announced, right, we're planning to do the entire chain, because you can only unlock the value, the true value of a solutions like Theatro by enabling everybody, because at that point I can also do mass communications down to the people, to every team member's ear, if there's something that we need to broadcast. At the same time, you know, if a district manager is managing all their stores, he wants to be consistent on how he does it through a solution like Theatro. A lot of other applications we're seeing as well is around loss preventions, of course, but also in case of emergencies. And the first deployment was in the Florida stores, and when we had the hurricane last year, the great feedback we got from the team members was that they were always informed of what was happening, and every single team member's in the store. So you don't have to rely, for example, on a store manager to then cascade that information down, or having them to look right in a device, or having to go in the back of the stores to find something. We were able to actually communicate the status of, you know, the hurricanes across all the stores impacted in a real-time way. And the greatest feedback that we heard from our team member was, this is, you know, amazing, because this is the first time that and I get these updates and actually showing that somebody really care about me and my safety. And but rather than me talking about, you know, where we are and how is it going, I'd like to show a quick video of the initial deployments and feedback from our director of store operation, which is ultimately our customers.
We really spent a lot of time discussing how do we take our employee base and give them something that would allow them to communicate with each other, to take the best care of customers that they possibly could. It affords you the opportunity to just consistently communicate to everyone by leveraging this fantastic device. One-to-one communication allows our team members in the moment to communicate with somebody specifically to perform some action or activity. And that could be a price check, that could be an inventory check, that could be additional register assistance. They love the fact that they can, in the moment, get an answer to a question without having to run around the store and leave the customer without any support. With a company of our size and our scale, you always worry about the ability to truly deploy in a way that is smooth and is well adopted. We were deploying as much as 150 stores a week. There were really little to no IT issues in terms of setting up the technology to actually work in the stores. What I was, I guess, most excited about was the level of adoption that we saw very quickly. It was probably as smooth a deployment as I've ever had in my 26 years with Walgreens. The incremental benefit is when you really start talking about employee engagement, improved customer experience, and really operational execution. There's something magical that happens when you hear somebody's voice really walking through something or telling you something. And so I think there's just a tremendous amount of opportunity around how Theatro can be leveraged when you really have it deployed at scale.
Thanks, Andrea. We might, Eric, why don't you share a little bit about Total Wine and your role at Total Wine and what you guys are up to?
Sure, Chris. First of all, thank you all for attending. My name is Eric Johnson. I work for Total Wine. I'm in their store operations department, and I pretty much managed the Theatro program as well as did the deployment as well. So when we initially deployed out Theatro, we deployed it out actually in early fourth quarter, which is probably something you're not supposed to do in retail. But we thought that the benefit was definitely worth it. Because of that, we did a significant ramp up. We were almost a test case probably for Walgreens, where we were doing about 40 stores a week. I think we did 120 stores out of 205 stores in 22 days. For those of you that are not familiar with Total Wines, we're basically a large alcohol superstore. Typical footprint is around 20 to 30,000 square feet. We typically have about 8,000 wines, 3,000 spirits, 2,500 beers, a lot of products you can't find like in typical retail stores. We're best known for our having great selection, very competitive prices. But overall, really how we capture a lot of our customers is through our service and the wine knowledge of our teams. And we've been growing tremendously. We have about 205 stores in 24 states, hopefully more states soon. And we're growing at about 15 to 20 stores per year. With the Theatro deployment, again, we went very quickly compared to most internal deployments. Some of the nice things was from a training perspective, we were able to roll it out, onboard employees. We're heavily seasonal, so we pretty much increased our headcount by about 40% in the fourth quarter. So in this past October, it's not just training stores. We had to train 2,500 team members going in, and to have it interactive in your training where they have to simulate the functionality of Theatro, and in 15 minutes they're off and running and they're able to connect with everyone in the store is fantastic. And then in other things we've done since we've been fully deployed out to all our stores since last June is we've integrated it with several different systems, camera systems, our kind of call buttons, as well as our tasking system where we can alert folks if there is something with a priority. Speaking of the hurricanes, we did something similar in the Florida market where we were communicating directly to everyone's headsets to let them know what was going on, and vice versa, because you can also communicate through the device to even me just sitting at my desk at the corporate office. So it's a very, very powerful tool.
And so, Eric, when people think of a superstore, often you think of, when you say low-price superstore, you think of self-service or so forth. Total Wine is known for service. How important is the associate's role in your overall strategy with what you're trying to accomplish?
Sure. The way we really win with our customers is through service, is through wine knowledge. You take a look at your typical alcohol aisle in any store. There's not a lot of help in terms of questions. So we pride ourselves in being able to have experts in our store regarding our products. And when you think about service, it really is about connection and relationships. When you think about how you connect with people, historically, people have been connected through roads, canals, telegraph. We eventually got to the internet, email, and texting. Every one of those has often translated into a tremendous boom and significant wealth. And so being able to quickly connect with people, when we saw this tool, we thought it would be a great way to really increase engagement and relationships, both with customers and also inside the store. So I wanted to talk a little bit about kind of developing those relationships. And I'm a Notre Dame guy, so I love to quote Lou Holtz. Hopefully some of you can appreciate that. But in terms of creating a relationship with people, he often talked about 3 different things of, can I trust this person, right? Can I trust their wine recommendation? Also, from an in-store experience, if I need help, can I trust someone will respond? And one of the things that with Theatro has helped is when we previously used the walkie-talkies is if someone needed help, you blurted it over on the channel, on the radio channel, and you probably would get no response. With Theatro, we have different built-in workflows that provide accountability as well as a response. If you need to talk to a wine expert, you can go one-to-one to our wine, you can go one-to-group to our wine team associates, or you can go one-to-one to whoever is that wine expert in the store. So being able to establish that trust is important. And then number 2 was a commitment to excellence. So kind of beyond Theatro, we really pride ourselves on educating our associates. So we'll do things like we'll have monthly wine producer meetings where we're bringing winemakers into our stores and train folks. We have educational trips and extensive wine certification programs in our classes to really develop that passion for wine, beer, and spirits in our stores. Our goal really is to develop a passion and then share that passion with our customers. We want to be able to tell that story. And it starts even all the way down to the cashiers of when you pick up a bottle of wine, it's just not just some liquid, but it's that bottle represents people, it represents places. There's a tradition and history behind that bottle of wine. And how do we share that with our customers? And Theatro allows you to connect to those experts, as well as we're able to also communicate different products and different things down from our headquarters. We had a little, basically about 45-second message from Jim Nance, because he has some wines called The Calling. So that was pretty cool to have John Nance doing like a personal call to our store team members. And then third thing really is, in terms of establishing a relationship, is do you actually care, right? And that's where the engagement happens. Do I care about my store team? Does our store support center care? And so in terms of Theatro, I think it's really helped to engage employees. Are they part of the store team? Are they part of the Total Wine & More team? So, from that perspective, in terms of actual practice, we have daily huddles, but then, you also have folks that are missing that daily huddle for whatever reason. They get a recap as they start their shift. In addition, it's really flattened the communication. One of the things that we want to focus on is increasing recognition. Throughout the holiday season, DMs are always basically, they can connect from their phone directly to the headset and share recognition of anything, any feedback received from customers. They can get updates and really drive promotions from the store. They can call out people for their extra efforts. In addition, we're exploring some other in-store applications too. We'll be able to basically increase that engagement and recognition in our stores. And by and large, the more recognition and the more gratitude in the store is going to translate to a better customer experience. And that's kind of our goal overall, is how do we provide that better experience, have the right person answer the call, and then not leave the customer in aisle and be able to tell that story.
Thanks. That's great.
Another thing I would like to add is, as you start deploying new technologies into the stores, right, it's all about making sure that our platform, they can be open and plug in, right, with other solutions. They already have legacy solutions as well as new ones. And Theatro is a great example of that, because allow us to also integrate with new system, existing system and new systems that we are putting into place. Obviously, we have a big partnership announced with Microsoft. So one of our next steps is also to integrate things like Teams with Theatro. So I can be a district manager at my desk, and I can have a chat directly via Teams into the Theatro device of the store managers in the store, and vice versa. So these text-to-voice, voice-to-text translations, right, is going to be another way on how you can start leveraging a platform like this. And then we heard a lot about prescriptive analytics and how do we provide not reports to our team members, but actually actionable information so they can actually do something with it. And again, you can leverage AI solutions and capabilities to be able to provide this specific task and activities at the point of need versus having to search for information on a report.
So, Andrea, when you think about the opportunity to interwork with applications like Microsoft Teams or others, what do you expect to see in, say, 3 years or 4 years? Is it fully interconnected with all of the applications, task and workforce and loyalty and so forth? I mean, is that a reality?
It has to be. In order to really unlock the value of all the different technology that we are, all of us as retailers are putting in our stores, we have to make them talk to each other, right? No pun intended. That Theatro is voice communications, and the use of voice is one way to interface across all those different applications. In addition to screens and scanners, right? When it makes sense. So I think the future is going to be one where we're continuing to take out non-value added activities from our team members so they can focus on the customers and providing that great customer experience that our customers are expecting. Seamless, frictionless, easy and convenient.
Great. So we have time just for maybe a question or two.
As you made the Theatro investment, what were your ROI metrics? I've heard you both talk about service improvement and great engagement. How did you justify in the C-suite the actual investment?
Yeah, without getting into the detail of the business case, for us, as I mentioned before, was how do we drive productivity improvements for our team members. One of the challenges, as you know, when you sometimes walk in the Walgreens stores, you might find, depending on the time of the day, a line, at the checkout. And one of the challenges is if I need help, I need to use the paging systems to call somebody to come and help me out. And all of a sudden, you have two people showing up at the same time, or sometimes nobody shows up because thought somebody else was answering that asked for help. With Theatro, you have the ability to actually call for register backup without using the paging system, and it plays in everybody's ears until somebody says, I got it. At that point, we know who's coming, how long did it take them to respond to request for help, and we have a much more immediate, obviously, support for that register. So we look at all the productivity saving from a labor standpoint, but also to your point about how can it also drive customer experience and sales and improve OSA, out of stocks, as well as loss preventions and other additional engagement metrics as well. So, but again, as you heard, the operators were very supportive of this, and we really start reaping the benefits.
Agreed that there is the productivity factor. One of our challenges is really trying to estimate the growth in revenue per each store. We're more of, instead of a focus on tasking, it's really providing service to the customers. So that's what we also did with our pilot was we did measure revenue improvement as well.